The unexpected visitors. The morning sky over Geneva turned dark as massive shadows blocked out the sun. Director Sarah Chen stood at the window of the United Nations Emergency Council building, watching as three enormous ships descended through the clouds. Each vessel was the size of a small city, their smooth metallic surfaces reflecting the morning light like mirrors. She had seen many strange things in her 20 years as head of Earth's Defense Council, but nothing like this. Director Chen called Commander Alex Rivera from across the room. His voice was steady, but Sarah could hear the tension underneath. "We're getting the same reports from New York, London, Tokyo, and Beijing. 5 ships total, all maintaining position exactly 2 miles above major population centers." Sarah nodded, her mind racing through possibilities. In the 3 hours since the ships had appeared, they had done nothing threatening. No weapons fire, no demands, no communication at all. They simply floated there, silent and massive, while the world held its breath. "Any response to our communication attempts?" she asked. "Nothing yet," Rivera replied. "But Dr. Webb thinks they might be analyzing our languages first. These beings could be." A soft chime filled the room, and suddenly the air in the center of the chamber began to shimmer. Sarah's hand moved instinctively to her sidearm, but she held back as a figure began to materialize. The being that appeared was tall and elegant, with pale blue skin and features that were almost human but somehow refined. Its eyes were larger than human eyes, a deep silver color that seemed to hold ancient wisdom. "Please, do not be alarmed," the being said in perfect English, its voice melodious and calm. "I am Ambassador Zephan of the Galactic Protection Alliance. We come in peace with an offer that will change the course of your civilization forever." Sarah stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over despite the surreal situation. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Zephan. I am Director Sarah Chen, head of Earth's Defense Council. We are honored by your visit, though we must admit it comes as quite a surprise." Zephan smiled, an expression that seemed genuine despite the alien features. "Your species has reached a crucial point in its development. You have achieved spaceflight, developed nuclear technology, and begun to explore beyond your home world. This is when most civilizations face their greatest challenge." "What kind of challenge?" Rivera asked, moving to stand beside Sarah. "The galaxy is not as peaceful as your scientists might hope," Zephan explained. "There are forces out there that view young civilizations like yours as either resources to be harvested or threats to be eliminated. We have seen promising species destroyed by entities that care nothing for life or progress." Dr. Marcus Webb entered the room at that moment, having run from his laboratory in the basement. His gray hair was disheveled, and his lab coat was covered in coffee stains, but his eyes were bright with curiosity. "Fascinating," he whispered, staring at Zephan. "The matter displacement technology alone must require energy manipulation beyond our current understanding." Zephan turned to Webb with interest. "You are a scientist. Good. Your people will need to understand the science behind what we offer. We represent a coalition of 47 advanced civilizations, all dedicated to protecting younger species during their vulnerable developmental phase." "And what exactly are you offering?" Sarah asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer would be complicated. "Protection, technology, and guidance," Zephan replied. "We will establish a defense network around your world, provide you with technologies that will advance your civilization by centuries, and offer guidance on galactic law and customs. In return, you need only agree to abide by the regulations of the Galactic Protection Alliance." The room fell silent. Sarah exchanged glances with Rivera and Webb. It sounded too good to be true, which in her experience meant it probably was. "What kind of regulations?" she asked carefully. "Simple ones," Zephan assured her. "No development of certain dangerous technologies, no expansion beyond your assigned system boundaries, no interference with other protected species, standard protocols for civilizations under our care." Webb raised his hand like a student in class. "Excuse me, But could you be more specific about what we need protection from? You mentioned forces that view us as resources or threats, but who exactly are we talking about? For the first time, Zephin's smooth expression flickered. It was just for a moment, but Sarah caught it. There are many dangers in the galaxy, Dr. Webb. Hostile species, resource pirates, ancient machines left by dead civilizations. The specific nature of these threats is not important. What matters is that we can shield you from all of them. But surely some details would help us understand, Rivera pressed. If we're going to make a decision about our planet's future, we need to know what we're deciding about. Zephin's silver eyes grew slightly cooler. Commander Rivera, your species has been isolated on this world for its entire existence. You have no context for understanding galactic politics. Trust in our experience. We have protected dozens of worlds successfully. Sarah felt her instincts prickling. Zephin was being evasive, and in her experience, people who avoided direct questions usually had something to hide. We appreciate your offer, Ambassador, but this is a decision that affects every human being on Earth. We'll need time to consider all the implications. Of course, Zephin replied, though something in its tone suggested impatience. However, I must stress that time is a factor. The threats I mentioned are not theoretical. They are active and searching for worlds like yours. Every day you delay increases your risk. Webb stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overriding diplomatic caution. Could we see some evidence of these advanced technologies you mentioned? Perhaps examine one of your ships or meet with other members of your alliance. I'm afraid that's not possible, Zephin said quickly. Our technology is too advanced for your current understanding. Attempting to analyze it could be dangerous. As for other alliance members, they are busy with their own duties. Another evasion. Sarah's mental alarm bells were ringing loudly now. She had negotiated with enough world leaders to recognize when someone was hiding something important. We'll need 48 hours to consult with our global leadership, she said firmly. This isn't a decision that can be made quickly. Zephin's expression hardened slightly. Very well. 48 hours. But I must warn you, Director Chen, that refusing our protection would be unwise. The galaxy is not kind to species that try to stand alone. With that, the ambassador began to fade, becoming translucent before disappearing completely. The room felt suddenly empty, as if all the air had been sucked out. Well, Webb said after a long moment, that was ominous. Sarah turned to Rivera. I want every intelligence agency on the planet working on this. Background checks, signal analysis, anything we can find out about these ships and their occupants. Already on it, Rivera replied. But Sarah, what if they're telling the truth? What if there really are threats out there that we can't handle? Then we'll deal with them when they come, Sarah said. But I've learned to be suspicious of anyone who offers protection without being willing to explain what they're protecting you from. Over the next 24 hours, Earth's best scientists and intelligence analysts worked around the clock. Webb's team analyzed every scrap of data from Zephin's appearance, while Rivera's people tried to gather information about the alien ships. What they found was troubling. The ships were scanning Earth constantly, but not in the way you might expect from benevolent protectors. They were mapping military installations, population centers, and resource locations. The scans were incredibly detailed, far more thorough than would be necessary for defense purposes. More concerning was what Webb discovered about the matter displacement technology. His analysis suggested it wasn't transportation at all, but some kind of advanced projection system. Zephin might not have been physically present in the room. Director, Webb said during an emergency briefing, I don't think Zephin is here to protect us. I think it's here to evaluate us. Evaluate us for what? Sarah asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. For conquest, Rivera said grimly. These aren't protectors. They're predators. Sarah stared at the data on the screen, feeling a cold certainty settle in her stomach. Humanity was being offered protection from a threat that didn't exist by beings who were themselves the threat. "Start Operation Sleeper immediately," she ordered. "Full implementation, all protocols." Rivera nodded. Operation Sleeper was Earth's most secret defense program, developed over decades of paranoid planning for exactly this scenario. If aliens ever came to Earth, human leaders had decided they wouldn't find a helpless species waiting to be conquered. As the second day passed, the alien ships began to show signs of impatience. They moved closer to the cities, dropping to just 1 mile above the surface. Their scanning intensified, and several nations reported that their satellites were being jammed or destroyed. Sarah received reports that similar situations were developing on mining colonies on Mars and the Moon. More alien ships had appeared there too, making the same offers of protection. With 6 hours left until the deadline, Sarah made her decision. She sent a message to every government on Earth and every human outpost in the solar system. The message was simple: prepare for war. When Zephan materialized in the council chamber again, it found Sarah waiting alone. The alien's silver eyes immediately noticed the absence of other officials. "Where are your advisors, Director Chen? Have you reached a decision?" Sarah stood straight and looked directly into those alien eyes. "We have. Earth declines your offer of protection." Zephan's expression shifted, becoming colder and more calculating. "I see. May I ask why?" "Because we did our homework," Sarah replied. "We know what you are." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Zephan smiled, but this time the expression held no warmth at all. "How unfortunate," it said. "We had hoped this could be accomplished peacefully." The truth revealed. The mask was off now. As Zephan spoke, its appearance began to change. The elegant features became sharper, more predatory. The pale blue skin darkened to a deep gray, and its silver eyes began to glow with an inner fire. "You see, Director Chen, we have been observing your species for quite some time. Humanity has certain qualities that make you valuable. Your adaptability, your creativity, your stubborn refusal to give up even when facing impossible odds. These traits make excellent slaves." Sarah didn't flinch, though every instinct screamed at her to run. "So the Galactic Protection Alliance is just a slave-trading operation." "Among other things," Zephan admitted, "we harvest the useful members of developing civilizations and strip mine their worlds for resources. It's quite efficient, really. We've perfected the process over millions of years." "And the threats you mentioned, the dangerous forces in the galaxy." Zephan laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "We are the dangerous forces. We are the resource pirates. We are the ancient machines left by dead civilizations, because we are the ones who killed those civilizations." Sarah's hand moved slowly toward the device on her belt. "How many worlds have you destroyed?" "Hundreds of thousands," Zephan said casually. "Your species is unusual, though. Most civilizations accept our protection gratefully. They're so frightened by our stories of galactic dangers that they surrender their freedom without question. You humans, however, ask too many questions." "It's one of our more annoying traits," Sarah agreed. "It won't matter soon," Zephan continued. "Our ships are already in position around your major cities. Within hours, we'll begin harvesting your population. The strong will serve us, the weak will be processed for biological materials, and your world will be stripped of everything useful." Sarah pressed the device on her belt. It was a simple radio transmitter, sending a single coded signal to receivers all across Earth and throughout the solar system. "You made one mistake," she told Zephan. "Oh, and what was that?" "You assumed we were helpless." High above Geneva, aboard the alien ship, alarms began to sound. The ship's captain, a creature that looked like a cross between a spider and a scorpion, scuttled to its command console. "What is the meaning of this?" it chittered to its crew. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildups across the planet's surface." And the communications officer paused, its multiple eyes widening in fear. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the humans." The captain activated the communication system. A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in calm, measured tones. "This is Admiral Patricia Santos of the United Earth Space Command. You are in violation of Earth's sovereign territory. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces before we open fire." The alien captain laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Foolish humans, what could you possibly do to harm us?" 20 seconds, the human voice continued, unperturbed. "Captain," the weapons officer called out urgently, "I'm detecting multiple launch signatures from the planet's surface. Hundreds of them." The captain's laughter died. "That's impossible. Our scans show they have only primitive chemical rockets." 10 seconds. On Earth's surface, hidden installations that had been built over decades of secret preparation came online. What the aliens had detected as simple missile defense systems were actually camouflaged mass drivers, using magnetic acceleration to fire projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. 5 seconds. The alien captain realized its mistake. The humans hadn't been hiding their weapons because they were primitive. They had been hiding them because they were devastatingly effective. Evasive maneuvers, it screamed. But it was too late. The first projectile struck the Geneva ship amidships. It wasn't a warhead or explosive device. It was simply a tungsten rod, accelerated to 12% of light speed. The kinetic energy release was equivalent to a small nuclear weapon, and the alien ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons and explosives, offered no protection against simple kinetic force. The ship broke apart in a brilliant flash of light. Similar scenes played out across Earth's skies as the hidden defense network activated. The aliens had made a fatal error in their assessment of human technology. They had looked for energy weapons and found primitive chemical rockets. They had looked for nuclear weapons and found simple fission bombs. What they had failed to detect were the mass drivers, particle accelerators, and kinetic weapons that didn't fit their expectations of how primitive species should fight. In the council chamber, Zephin's projection flickered as the ship containing its real body was destroyed. The alien ambassador's expression showed something Sarah had never expected to see. Fear. "This is impossible," it whispered. "You're a primitive species. You shouldn't have this level of technology." "We're a paranoid species," Sarah corrected. "We've been planning for this day since we first looked up at the stars. Every science fiction story, every invasion movie, every nightmare scenario we could imagine, we prepared for it." Above Mars, the human mining colonies revealed their own surprises. What the aliens had assumed were simple excavation equipment were actually mining lasers capable of cutting through asteroid rock. When turned toward the alien ships, they proved equally effective at cutting through alien armor. The moon bases activated their own defenses, electromagnetic pulse generators that had been disguised as radio telescopes. The alien ships, dependent on sophisticated electronics, found their systems failing as massive EMP bursts washed over them. "You see, Zephin," Sarah continued, "you made the mistake of thinking that just because we haven't left our solar system, we haven't been preparing to defend it. We've had decades to think about this moment, to plan for it, to build the tools we'd need." In space, the tide of battle was turning rapidly. The alien ships, designed for intimidation and fighting primitive opponents, found themselves outgunned by weapons they hadn't expected. Human ships, built in secret shipyards on the far side of the moon, began appearing throughout the solar system. These weren't the sleek, elegant vessels of science fiction. They were brutal, functional weapons platforms, built with one purpose: to kill alien invaders as efficiently as possible. They carried kinetic weapons, particle beams, and nuclear warheads, all designed according to principles the aliens had dismissed as primitive. "Your ships are being destroyed," Sarah informed Zephin. "Your invasion is failing. I suggest you withdraw whatever forces you have left and find somewhere else to hunt." Zephin's image was fading rapidly, becoming translucent as the connection to its ship weakened. "This isn't over, human. We will return with more ships, more weapons. We will." "No, you won't," Sarah interrupted, "because now we know you exist. Now we know what's out there in the galaxy, and we're going to prepare for you." The projection disappeared entirely, leaving Sarah alone in the council chamber. Through the window, she could see the wreckage of the alien ship falling toward Earth in burning fragments. Her communicator crackled to life. "Director Chen, this is Admiral Santos. All alien vessels in Earth space have been destroyed or driven off. Casualty reports are coming in, but it looks like we won." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Thank you, Admiral. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was the next part of Operation Sleeper. Now that humanity knew they weren't alone in the galaxy, and that the galaxy was a dangerous place, it was time to ensure they would never be caught unprepared again. Within hours, construction began on massive shipyards in the asteroid belt. Research stations were established on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Deep space monitoring arrays were deployed to watch for future threats. But most importantly, humanity began to expand beyond their solar system. If there were predators out there hunting young civilizations, then humanity would no longer be young. They would become the protectors they had pretended to be. Dr. Webb stood in his laboratory, examining fragments of alien technology recovered from the wreckage. "It's fascinating," he told Sarah during her visit. "Their technology is advanced, but it's built on assumptions about how warfare should work. They never expected kinetic weapons at these velocities. They underestimated us," Sarah said. "No," Webb corrected. "They misunderstood us. They thought our curiosity and questioning were weaknesses. They didn't realize those traits would lead us to prepare for every possibility, including the possibility that our would-be protectors were actually our enemies." 6 months later, the first human exploration ship left the solar system. Its mission was to find other worlds under threat from the so-called Galactic Protection Alliance. Its secondary mission was to warn those worlds about what was really coming for them. The ship's name was inscribed on its hull in letters that could be read from space: Independence. As it disappeared into the void between stars, Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the Luna shipyard, watching humanity take its first real steps into the galaxy. They had been offered protection and asked from what? The answer had nearly destroyed them. But in answering that question, they had discovered something more valuable than any alien technology. They had discovered that they were strong enough to protect themselves. And now they were strong enough to protect others. The galaxy would never be the same.